The ink on the divorce papers was barely dry when I made a decision that everyone thought was insane. I fired my former brother-in-law, Leo Saito. My colleagues whispered behind my back. They wondered how I could abruptly dismiss such a polite and talented young man who had always delivered outstanding results. More shockingly, my former mother-in-law called me 89 times. Her voice shifted from pleading to anger, from threats to despair. "Kate, I am begging you, please give my Leo his job back. He cannot lose that job." The 89th call came close to midnight, and it was only when I accidentally discovered the truth behind a note with a mysterious address that I finally understood what I had stumbled upon. Leaving the Manhattan Municipal Building, I clutched the certificate confirming the finalization of my divorce. A complex mix of emotions I couldn't put into words swirled within me. My 8-year marriage was over. I had prepared myself for this, but when it became a reality, a storm of feelings washed over me. My name is Catherine Miller. I am 33 years old. I am the director of procurement at a major corporate holdings firm in New York City. Over the past few years, relying solely on my own strength and abilities, I had climbed from an entry-level position to my current role. My ex-husband, Kevin Saito, was a man with no opinions of his own. He was mild-mannered but utterly irresponsible. He never managed to escape the shadow of his mother's protection. The conflicts between us had grown too numerous and too deep, and we finally decided to go our separate ways. Returning to the office at 2:30 in the afternoon, I went straight to the Human Resources Department. "Sharon, can I have a word with you?" I stopped a veteran HR employee. "Miss Miller, is something wrong?" she asked, approaching cautiously as she noticed my somber expression. "Please prepare a termination notice for Leo Saito." My voice was as calm as water, but Sharon was visibly shaken. "Director, did you just say Leo Saito?" she asked again, in disbelief. "But his performance has always been excellent." "Follow standard company procedure and carry out the instruction," I interrupted. "Inform him in person this afternoon. The order is effective tomorrow." Sharon opened her mouth to speak, but ended up just nodding. "Understood, Director Miller. What should I list as the reason for termination?" "Corporate restructuring." With that, I turned and walked away, leaving Sharon standing behind me for a long time, stunned, as if she couldn't believe her ears. Back in my office, I leaned back in my chair and closed my eyes. Leo Saito, my 26-year-old former brother-in-law. After graduating from college, he had joined this holdings firm through my connections and was currently working as a general employee in the administration department. He was diligent and had good relationships with his colleagues. To everyone else, he was an almost perfect young man, devoted to his parents, humble, polite, and unfailingly respectful to me, his sister-in-law. But I was the only one who knew that not everything was as simple as it seemed. At 4 in the afternoon, Sharon knocked tentatively and entered. "Director Miller, I have delivered the notice to Leo. He is asking to see you." "I have no intention of meeting with him," I said without looking up from my documents. "Proceed with the standard process. There is nothing to discuss." "But Director, he is waiting outside the door. He is extremely upset and keeps asking if he made some kind of mistake at work." I looked at Sharon. "Tell him the decision of the holdings firm's management is final and will not be overturned. And contact security to arrange for him to be escorted from the building tomorrow morning, as soon as all termination procedures are complete." Sharon bit her lip but eventually nodded and left. About 15 minutes later, my cell phone vibrated. It was Kevin. "Kate, what the hell is going on?" His voice was laced with anxiety. "Leo just called me. He said you fired him. Our divorce agreement states it clearly. We are independent of each other and have no further connection. My business decisions are none of your concern." My tone was ice cold. "Kate, I know you are still angry, but this has nothing to do with Leo. He has worked diligently at your company for 4 years. He has never caused a single problem." "Why, Kevin?" I cut him off coldly. "We are divorced. I have no obligation to explain my decisions to you." I hung up the phone, but my heart didn't feel as light as I had expected. For some reason, even though this decision had been carefully considered, carrying it out felt like I had just shouldered a heavy burden instead of setting one down. The next morning, Leo arrived on time to complete his termination paperwork. Through the blinds of my office, I watched him sign documents in the HR department. His expression was bewildered, but he complied with the procedures in silence. He glanced toward my office several times, but I continued to pretend I didn't notice. Before leaving, he knocked quietly and came in. "Director Miller." He stood by the door, holding a cardboard box with his personal belongings. "Can you please tell me the reason?" I put down my documents and looked at him. Leo was a handsome young man. Not tall, with a gentle voice, and his eyes always seemed sincere. His work at the holdings firm over these 4 years had been impeccable. Colleagues had praised him many times. There is no special reason. It was necessary to restructure within the holdings firm. Director, I know you and my brother divorced. If that is the reason, his voice trembled slightly. I can understand how you feel. But this job is very important to me. For the past 4 years, I haven't just been coasting on my connections. I have worked incredibly hard to prove my abilities. Leo. I felt my resolve waver as I looked at him, but my rational mind told me this decision was correct. Some things can't be changed by effort alone. You are still young. You will have better opportunities. He opened his mouth but said nothing in the end, simply nodding his head somberly. Thank you for everything over the past 4 years, Director Miller. Watching his back as he left, I felt a mix of emotions. If only everything were as simple as it appeared. Unfortunately, the reality was far more complex than I could have ever imagined. The news of Leo Saito's termination quickly spread throughout the holdings firm. Employees began to whisper. Some said it was my revenge, others called me heartless for ousting my own brother-in-law after taking care of him for 4 years. Some even began to question my character and professional ethics. Director Miller is in a bad mood today, so everyone be careful. I overheard Jessica from the admin department whisper. Leo was such a nice kid. He was great at his job and a wonderful person. How could she fire him in a single day? She's taking her divorce out on her brother-in-law. That's just too cruel. They worked together for 4 years. Regardless of his contributions, considering his hard work, she could have handled it better. I pretended not to hear these conversations, but the weight on my conscience grew heavier. The constant calls from my former mother-in-law became another source of my headaches. The first call came that afternoon. Her voice was still relatively calm. Kate, Kevin told me you fired Leo. What on earth happened? Helen, Kevin and I are divorced. This is an internal decision of our holdings firm. Kate, I know you are hurting. But my Leo is innocent. For my sake, won't you give him another chance? Helen, this is my decision, and it is final. Kate, why are you being so stubborn? Leo has had a hard life since he was a child. He finally found a stable job. I hung up before she could finish, but I felt even worse. The next day, the calls from my former mother-in-law increased in frequency. She called almost every hour. Kate, Leo didn't sleep a wink last night. He just stayed in his room crying. Please, remember the good relationship we had for 8 years. Kate, if you are still angry, take it out on me. Don't punish the boy. Leo says he is very sorry. Kate, please have some pity on him. He is so depressed right now, he has lost all his spirit. I stopped answering her calls, but she continued to call dozens of times a day. Every time my phone vibrated, my head throbbed. On the 3rd day, the situation worsened. The holdings firm's board of directors made an inquiry. A board member had heard about the matter and considered my actions inappropriate. Director Miller, we have heard rumors that you terminated a very competent employee. The call was from the chairman's assistant. The board would like to hear the details. It was a standard personnel change, fully compliant with the holdings firm's bylaws, I said, trying to remain as calm as possible. However, from what I understand, this employee consistently delivered outstanding results and was also a member of your family. Do you not think such a measure could negatively affect the holdings firm's image? He is no longer my family, I emphasized. And I am not obligated to explain the specific reasons for the holdings firm's personnel decisions to anyone. The board did not intervene further, but I could feel that many people were questioning my motives. Unexpectedly, the matter even involved my own parents. Kate, Kevin's mother just called, my father's stern voice came through the receiver. She was crying, telling me you fired Leo. What is going on? Dad, it was a professional decision. A professional decision? Firing your husband's brother right after a divorce? This is clearly revenge. Kate, you have done something very unsightly. Dad, things are not what you think they are. Not what I think? Then what is it? My father raised his voice. A diligent young man worked under you for 4 years. And suddenly he is fired without a valid reason. What is he supposed to do? What about his family? Kate. My mother took the phone. Her voice was filled with disappointment. I taught you to be kind since you were a child. But seeing what you are doing now, I don't know how I can face anyone. Everyone is saying you have become a cruel and heartless person, to do this even to your own family. Listening to my parents' accusations, I felt a turmoil of emotions. I wanted to explain, but I didn't know where to start. I couldn't say I suspected Leo of some secret activities within the holdings firm. Without concrete evidence, it would only complicate matters further. On the fourth day, Leo himself came to see me. "Director Miller, may I have a moment of your time?" He stood by my office door, looking haggard, his eyes red and swollen. After a moment of hesitation, I let him in. "Director Miller, I am asking you one last time. Did I do something wrong?" His voice was very quiet, but I could hear the despair in it. For the past 4 years, I have reflected on myself every day, afraid of making even the smallest mistake. I truly don't know what I did to offend you. It was painful to look at him. If only everything were as simple as it seemed. But I felt something was wrong. "Leo, you didn't do anything wrong. It is just..." I trailed off. "Some things are complicated. I cannot explain them in one sentence. Director Miller, if this is about my brother, I apologize on his behalf. I know he has many flaws, but I do not think that should affect my job." Tears welled up in his eyes. "I really need this job. Not just for the money, but to prove my own worth. Leo, please." His voice broke, and he clasped his hands together in front of him, pleading. "I will work even harder. I will never cause you any trouble. Please, give me one more chance." "Stand up," I said, rising from my chair. "What are you doing? You wouldn't listen to me otherwise." The tears flowed more freely. "Director Miller, you don't know how much this job means to me. If I lose it, I don't know what I will do." His desperation tore at my heart, but my rational mind told me I could not change my decision. About a month ago, one night, I realized I had left an important contract at the office and returned to the holdings firm's building. It was nearly midnight. The entire building was silent. I used my employee ID to open the door, planning to grab the document and leave immediately. But then, I noticed a light coming from the 9th floor administration department. I was curious who could be working so late. Out of pure curiosity, I went up to the 9th floor to see who this dedicated employee was. The hallway was eerily quiet, with a faint light spilling from just one office. I crept closer and peeked through the gap in the door. Inside, a man was sitting, focused on his computer screen. It was Leo. He was at his desk with an unusually serious expression, holding a small device in his hand. Looking closer, it seemed to be a miniature camera. Even stranger, there were several documents laid out in front of him, and he was photographing them one by one. In that moment, I felt something was wrong. What documents could he be photographing in the middle of the night, and they didn't look like materials from his department? Just as I was about to enter and ask what he was doing, Leo suddenly looked up as if he had heard a noise. I quickly ducked behind the wall, my heart pounding. A few minutes later, I heard him packing his things, and then the sound of footsteps. He was gone. After making sure he was far enough away, I carefully returned to my office, grabbed my documents, and went home. On the way, I kept thinking about it. Why was Leo photographing documents in the middle of the night? What were those documents, and what did he need them for? The next day, I casually asked the head of administration. I was told that Leo indeed often worked overtime voluntarily. Everyone praised his dedication, but I sensed there was more to it. From that day on, I began to watch Leo's every move closely and noticed some details I had missed before. He often went out during his lunch break, saying he was going to eat, but his return times were always erratic. Sometimes he would be gone for over 2 hours. There were strange notes in his desk drawer. They contained addresses, times, and cryptic symbols. He was frequently in contact with some of the holdings firm suppliers, which was outside the scope of his duties. And most importantly, I started to notice that the way he looked at me was sometimes strange. There was guilt, anxiety, and something I couldn't understand, a complex, unspoken emotion. Now, looking at this young man with his innocent face sitting before me, my suspicions grew even stronger. "Leo, can you tell me why you were working so late in the office on the night of the 15th of last month?" I asked, probing. His expression changed for a split second, but he quickly regained his composure. "The 15th. Oh, right, I think I was organizing some files. I was swamped during the day, so I tried to catch up at night." "What kind of files needed to be organized until midnight?" "Just some statistical reports. I needed to verify the data." His reply was stilted. He started to avoid my gaze. An alarm went off in my head. This answer was clearly a lie. First, preparing statistical reports was not his job. Second, even if he really needed to verify data, he wouldn't need a camera for that. "Leo, which suppliers have you been in frequent contact with recently?" I continued my questioning. "Suppliers? He grew even more tense. I was just helping with some documents for the procurement department. I haven't been in direct contact with any suppliers. Are you sure? I took out my smartphone and showed him a photo. Then who is this man in the picture, and what were you talking to him about? It was a photo I had coincidentally taken last week. It showed Leo talking to a stranger in a cafe near the office. At the time, it just felt odd, and I took the picture mechanically, not thinking it would be useful later. Seeing the photo, Leo's face completely changed. He opened his mouth but couldn't utter a word for a long time. Director Miller, I can explain everything. Explain it. I leaned back in my chair, ready to listen. He is a friend of mine. We were just talking. About what? Private matters. You need to discuss private matters near the office with such a serious expression? Sweat beaded on Leo's forehead. I could see him desperately searching for words. Director Miller, you may have misunderstood, but I truly have not done anything to harm the company. His voice began to tremble. I cherish this job, and I would never do anything against the holdings firm's interests. Then how do you explain your suspicious outings and the notes in your drawer? Hearing that, Leo froze. He stared at me, panic in his eyes. Director Miller, were you spying on me? Not spying. Standard operational oversight. My tone hardened. As the director of procurement, it is my duty to ensure that every employee's actions do not harm the interests of the holdings firm. But I really... Leo, I interrupted him. I am giving you one last chance. Tell me honestly what you are doing. If you continue to lie, our conversation is over. He was silent for a long time. I could see him struggling with himself. Finally, he took a deep breath. Director Miller, there are things I just cannot talk about. His voice was barely a whisper. But I can assure you, I have never done anything to harm the holdings firm. You cannot talk about them? I scoffed. Then there is nothing more to say. I stood up, went to the door, and opened it. Get out. Leo sat there, unmoving, his face a mask of complex emotions. After a long moment, he slowly stood up. Director Miller, you may not believe me now, but one day, you will understand everything. As he walked toward the door, he suddenly turned back. I just hope it is not too late by then. With that, he was gone. I stood by the door, watching his back. My suspicions grew even stronger. What did his last words mean? That one day I would understand. And hoping it wouldn't be too late. In the following days, the barrage of calls from my former mother-in-law intensified. Not only did she call herself, but she also mobilized all her relatives and friends, and even contacted my parents and colleagues. The 30th call came while I was in a board meeting. I was presenting the third quarter procurement results, and my phone vibrated more than 10 times during the presentation. I had to put it on silent. After the meeting, I saw 30 missed calls, all from my former mother-in-law. When I called back, her voice was hoarse. Kate, you finally answered. Her voice was a mixture of exhaustion and despair. Mom, I am begging you. Truly, I am begging you. Please give Leo his job back. Helen, your calls are not going to solve the problem. Then what will? She sobbed on the other end of the line. Tell me. What do you need me to do? I will do anything if you just bring Leo back. Hearing her cry made me uncomfortable. My former mother-in-law had a domineering personality, but she genuinely cared for her family. Over the years, she had been good to me, often even defending me. Now, seeing her plead like this for her youngest son, it would be a lie to say my heart wasn't moved. But I couldn't change my decision. At least, not yet. Helen, please calm down. We all need some time to think about this. Time? Her voice suddenly sharpened. Kate, do you know what state Leo is in right now? He has barely eaten anything in 4 days. He just locks himself in his room and doesn't talk to anyone. Last night, I heard him breaking things in his room. I was up all night. I remained silent. Kate, Leo. He has been a bit fragile since he was a child. My former mother-in-law's voice softened. 4 years ago, when he suffered a severe shock, he almost broke. It was with your help that he finally managed to get back on his feet. And now? I am so afraid he won't be able to bear it again. What was the shock he suffered 4 years ago? I seized on that piece of information. Oh, it was just a common problem young people face. Her tone became evasive. Anyway, his condition was very bad back then. If you hadn't given him this job and helped him find a purpose in life again. Helen, what exactly happened back then? I pressed. Oh, that is all in the past. Why do we need to talk about it? My former mother-in-law clearly did not want to delve into this topic. Kate, all I want right now is for Leo to be okay. If you remember any of the good things I did for you, please give him another chance. I sensed her evasiveness, and my suspicions grew stronger. What happened 4 years ago? Why was she so reluctant to talk about it? And from her description, it could have been something more serious than I thought. Helen, unless you tell me what happened 4 years ago, I cannot reconsider my decision. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. I could hear her sobbing. Kate, some things, I really cannot talk about. Her voice became very quiet. But I swear to you, Leo is a good boy now. He would never do anything wrong. Cannot talk about it again. Why does everyone say they cannot talk about it? Leo said he couldn't talk. Now his mother, too. What secret was this family hiding? The next day, an unexpected visitor arrived. Director Miller, there is a gentleman here who says he is a college classmate of Leo Saito's, Sharon reported. Send him in. The man who entered was young, wearing thin-rimmed glasses. He looked slightly older than Leo. Hello, Director Miller. My name is Mark Tanaka. I was Leo's roommate in the dorm, he said, looking a bit nervous. I heard he was fired. I wanted to talk to you for a moment. Please, have a seat. I gestured for him to sit. What did you want to talk about? Director Miller, I know Leo well. He is a really good person. Mark's tone was sincere. You might be misunderstanding him, but please allow me to say a word in his defense. You were close in college? Yes, we were roommates for 4 years, Mark nodded. Leo has an introverted personality, but he is very kind. He would never hurt anyone. Then do you also know about the shock he suffered 4 years ago? I asked, probing. Mark's expression changed abruptly. He clearly hadn't expected that question. 4 years ago. He repeated, and was silent for a long time. What do you know? I continued my questioning. Director Miller, Leo. He was different back then. Mark's voice became quiet. What was he like in college? No, perhaps I am mistaken. Mark suddenly changed the subject. Director Miller, the reason I came today is to tell you that Leo has changed a lot. He is not the same person he was. Please, could you give him another chance? Again, this evasiveness. I became more certain that there was some secret in Leo's past. Mr. Tanaka, as his friend, do you think I should trust him? Mark looked at me. A complex emotion flickered in his eyes. After a long moment, he said, Director Miller, all I can say is that Leo is working very hard right now. He treasures this opportunity and is grateful to you. What if I told you I have noticed his suspicious behavior within the holdings firm? Mark's face changed again. He opened his mouth, but it took a while before he managed to speak. Suspicious? Behavior? Photographing documents in the middle of the night, suspicious outings, meeting with strange people. Hearing that, Mark froze. He stared at me, his eyes filled with an unreadable, complex emotion. Director Miller, is that true? I saw it with my own eyes. Mark was silent for a long time. Finally, he stood up and said, Director Miller, it seems there is nothing more for us to talk about. His voice was calm, but I could hear the tension in it. But I would ask you to reconsider everything. After all, Leo is truly trying his best now. With that, he left. I was left alone in my office, lost in thought. That afternoon, another unexpected call came. Hello, is this Catherine Miller? Yes, who is this? I am a nurse at the city hospital. We have an elderly woman here named Helen Saito. She says you are her daughter and asked us to call you. My heart skipped a beat. What happened to her? Her blood pressure shot up due to extreme agitation. She is in the emergency room now, but her condition is unstable, and she keeps begging us to call you. I dropped everything and rushed to the hospital. In the ER, I found my former mother-in-law lying on an examination table. Her face was pale, but her eyes were clear. Kate, you came. Seeing me, she started to cry. Helen, what is wrong? I sat beside her and took her hand. Kate, please. Truly, please. Her voice was very weak. Give Leo his job back. I'll do whatever it takes. With those words, she actually tried to sit up and grabbed my arm tightly, her eyes filled with desperate tears. I quickly stopped her. Helen, please don't. Please, just rest and talk to me. Kate, Leo cherishes that job. He cannot lose it. My former mother-in-law squeezed my hand. I have never begged anyone for anything in my life. But this one time, I am truly begging you. Looking at her, I felt my heart would break, but I couldn't change my decision. At least, not while I still didn't know the whole truth. Helen, please rest. We can talk about this later. No. My former mother-in-law suddenly became agitated. Kate, I have to say this today. Leo truly cherishes that job. If he loses hope again, I really don't know what will happen. Loses hope again. I seized on that keyword. Helen, what exactly happened 4 years ago? My former mother-in-law looked at me. Deep fear was in her eyes. Kate, I cannot say. Truly, I cannot. The tears flowed more freely. But please, believe me. Leo is a good boy now. Everything is in the past, forever in the past. Returning from the hospital, I couldn't sleep all night. My former mother-in-law's words had left me even more confused. Her fear was real, but so was her concealment. What secret was this family hiding? The next morning, I decided to take action. If they wouldn't tell me the truth, I would find it myself. The first thing that came to mind was the holdings firm's security camera system. There might be a clue there. Mr. Takahashi, can I have a word with you? I stopped the head of the IT department. Director Miller, what can I do for you? I need to review the security camera footage. From the 15th of last month, from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. The location is the 9th floor administration area. Understood. I will get it right away. Mr. Takahashi didn't ask any unnecessary questions and brought me the footage. I carefully reviewed that night's recording, and there he was, Leo. According to the records, he entered at 11:50 p.m. and left at 1:40 a.m. During that time, he was indeed photographing documents, and from his practiced movements, it seemed this was not the first time. Even more shocking was that the documents he photographed included various confidential information, such as procurement contracts, supplier data, and employee personnel files. If this data were leaked, the holdings firm would suffer immense losses. Mr. Takahashi, can you check how many times Leo has made such nighttime visits in the past 4 months? Understood. I will check immediately. 30 minutes later, Mr. Takahashi brought me shocking data. In the past 4 months, Leo had entered the office area at night at least 18 times. Each time, he stayed for 2 to 3 hours, and his actions were almost always the same, photographing documents. My head spun. 18 times. What did this mean? It meant he was systematically stealing the holdings firm's confidential information. But why? For money, or was there another motive? As I was reeling from this discovery, Sharon knocked on the door. Director Miller, Mr. Evans from the finance department is here to see you. He says it is important. Send him in. Mr. Evans was the holdings firm's CFO and rarely spoke to me directly. For him to come in person meant something serious must have happened. Director Miller, we have discovered a problem, Mr. Evans said as he sat down. His face was quite serious. Over the past few months, we have seen unusual delays in payments from several of our major clients. What do you mean? According to their contracts, these clients are supposed to pay their invoices at the end of the month, but all of them have delayed payment. When we contacted them, they claimed our prices had suddenly increased, and they needed to review everything. I frowned. But we haven't changed our prices. Exactly, that is the strange part, Mr. Evans said, taking out a folder of documents. We later discovered that several of our competitors had learned our pricing in advance and were intentionally undercutting us to steal our clients. Learned our pricing in advance. My heart skipped a beat. How is that possible? Our pricing is confidential information. Director Miller, I suspect there is someone inside the holdings firm leaking corporate secrets. Mr. Evans' expression was very serious, and he said that, based on the timing, this situation began about 4 months ago. 4 months ago. That coincided with when Leo started frequently working overtime at night. A chill ran down my spine. Mr. Evans, do you have any suspects? We do not have solid evidence yet, but I believe a thorough investigation is necessary, Mr. Evans said. If the information leak continues, the holdings firm's losses will be enormous. I nodded. I will take over this matter. For now, please do not say anything to anyone. After Mr. Evans left, I fell into deep thought. All the evidence pointed to one person. Leo. His nighttime photography, suspicious outings, and contacts. And now, the leak of corporate secrets. It couldn't all be a coincidence. But I still couldn't understand why he would do it. For money? Or was he being blackmailed? Or was there some other reason I didn't know? In the afternoon, the 60th call from my former mother-in-law came. Kate, Leo has not left the house in 4 days. Her voice was filled with deep anxiety. He just locks himself in his room, doesn't eat or drink, and won't talk to anyone. Helen, that is not going to solve the problem. Kate, I am really scared, my former mother-in-law sobbed. 4 years ago, when he was depressed, it was exactly the same. He locked himself in his room, and then he completely broke. What happened then? I asked immediately. I cannot say. Truly, I cannot. Her voice trembled. Please, do not hurt him anymore. Leo. He is a very sensitive boy. He cannot take another blow like that. Holding the phone, I felt torn. On one hand, I was almost certain Leo was involved in something illegal. But on the other, it was painful to see him and his family suffer. Helen, if Leo is willing to honestly admit his mistakes and wants to correct them, I might consider giving him a chance. What mistakes? What did he do? My former mother-in-law asked anxiously. I couldn't tell her what I had discovered. At least, not yet. I needed more evidence to understand the full picture. Helen, tell Leo to come to me himself. If he is willing to tell the truth, we can talk. At that moment, my office door burst open, and Kevin rushed in. Kate, we need to talk. His face was grim, his eyes red. Kevin, what are you doing here? Leo is in a very bad state right now. The doctor said if this continues, he might have a mental breakdown. His voice was trembling. Kate, please. I will agree to any condition. Please, give Leo his job back. Seeing my ex-husband in such a state made me uncomfortable. We were divorced, but 8 years of marriage had not been for nothing. I didn't want to see him suffer like this. Kevin, this situation is not as simple as you think. Not simple? He sat down in front of me. Kate, I admit I was wrong in many ways before. But this really has nothing to do with our relationship. Leo is a good kid. Why would you do this to him? A good kid? I scoffed. Kevin, do you really know your own brother? Of course, I know him, Kevin said, a bit agitated. He has been a good, obedient kid since he was young, never done anything wrong. He is very serious about his work. Then do you know what your brother does in the office in the middle of the night? Do you know why he is photographing confidential documents? Do you know how corporate secrets have been leaking from the holdings firm? My words made Kevin freeze. He sat with his mouth open, unable to speak for a long time. Kate, what are you talking about? I am talking about the truth. I took out the printouts from the security cameras. This is proof that your brother has been photographing documents in the office at night. This has been going on for 4 months. And during this time, the holdings firm has lost contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Kevin looked at the photos. His face turned as white as a sheet. Impossible. Leo would never do something like that. This is the evidence. I showed him the video footage. Do you think this is fake? After watching the video, Kevin slumped completely in his chair. He covered his face with his hands and was silent for a long time. Kevin, do you still think I am seeking revenge? No, it cannot be. His voice was very quiet. Leo, why would he? You should ask him that question, or your mother. My tone hardened. They are always hiding something. And now, I want to know the truth. Kevin looked up at me, his eyes filled with despair. Kate, if this is true, what are you going to do? I will act according to the law. No. Kevin suddenly became agitated. Kate, please, do not go to the police. Leo. He cannot take a blow like that. Why not? I stared at him. What are you all so afraid of? What happened 4 years ago? Kevin stared at me, his eyes filled with pain and confusion. Kate, I do not really know myself. It is a complicated situation. I stood up. Kevin, I am giving you one last chance. Either you tell me the truth, or I will let corporate legal handle this according to the bylaws. Kevin was silent for a long time. Finally, he took a deep breath. Kate, I need time to think. You have 24 hours. My tone was firm. If I do not have the truth in 24 hours, I will take the necessary measures. Kevin nodded, stood up, and left. Watching his back, I felt a mix of emotions. Having come this far, no matter what the truth was, it had to be brought to light. That night, I stayed alone in the office, organizing all the evidence, the camera footage, the financial reports, the client complaints, and that suspicious photo. All the evidence pointed to one thing. Leo was involved in some kind of illegal activity. But I still couldn't understand why he would do it. From what I could see, his salary at the holdings firm was not bad, and his family was not poor. Why would he need to take such a risk? And his family's reaction was also strange. If this were just a commercial issue, why were his mother and Kevin so afraid? What were they afraid of? I reviewed all the evidence again. The mysterious note, the camera footage, the strange photo, and the family's abnormal reaction. Perhaps the answer was hidden in these details. But for now, I still couldn't see the whole picture. I looked at the clock. It was almost midnight. Tomorrow, Kevin was supposed to give me an answer. Otherwise, I would have to bring in legal and security. Tired, I packed up my documents and decided to go home and rest. After all, the truth would come out eventually. The 89th call from my former mother-in-law came at 3 in the morning. Her voice was completely hoarse. "Kate, Leo. He is gone. I have not been able to reach him all day. I am going out of my mind," she cried. 4 years ago, when he was depressed, it was exactly the same. Back then, if you had not helped him. Kate, whatever misunderstanding there is now, please, help him again. This call fully woke me up. Gone? Helen, please do not worry. He might have just gone for a walk, because he is upset. No. Her voice was filled with anxiety. Kate, you do not know. 4 years ago, when Leo was depressed, he disappeared just like this. If he gets that despondent again, I am truly scared. I thought those terrible days were over forever, but now, he has retreated into himself again. After hanging up, I couldn't sleep anymore. I got up and went to my study, opening the desk drawer that had been on my mind. Inside was all the evidence I had collected. The camera printouts, the note with the mysterious address, and that photo I had taken by chance. I laid them all out on my desk, trying to find an answer. Suddenly, my eyes fixed on the note. It read 99 Greenleaf Avenue, White Plains. I had seen this address many times but had never seriously tried to find out what it was. Now, with Leo missing, perhaps this address could give me a clue. I turned on my computer and typed the address into a search engine. When the results appeared, I froze. 99 Greenleaf Avenue, White Plains, it was a psychiatric hospital. A psychiatric hospital. My head spun. Countless scenes flashed through my mind. The fear in Leo's eyes when he first came for an interview. My former mother-in-law's words about what happened 4 years ago. Kevin's strange reaction. Mark's evasive words. All the evidence suddenly connected, revealing a shocking truth. Leo, my former brother-in-law, the one who seemed so perfect to me, had suffered from a serious mental illness 4 years ago. I sank into my chair, recalling every detail of the past 4 years. Why had he always been so cautious? Why was his family so protective of him? Why were they so reluctant to talk about what happened 4 years ago? So, that was it. But if he was mentally unwell, how could I explain his strange behavior at the company? The document photography, the suspicious outings, the strange contacts. I realized that the situation might be far more complex than I had thought. At that moment, my phone rang again. It was an unknown number. "Catherine Miller, I need to speak with you." "Who is this?" I clutched the receiver, my voice trembling slightly. "I am someone who can help you learn the truth." The voice on the other end was young, male, probably in his late 20s. The truth about Leo Saito, my heart pounded. "Do you know where he is?" "Miss Miller, please calm down. Let's meet and talk. Some things are difficult to explain over the phone." "Right now?" I looked at the clock. It was already 3:30 in the morning. "Yes, right now. Time is of the essence. Leo's condition may be more serious than you think." I hesitated for a moment, but the thought that Leo might be in danger made me agree. "At the Midnight Grind Cafe in Midtown. It is open 24 hours. I will see you there in an hour." "Understood. I will be in a black coat, at a table by the window." Hanging up, I quickly got dressed and took my car. The city streets were unusually quiet at night, with only the occasional taxi passing by. In my mind, the events of the past few days replayed over and over. I was in turmoil. 40 minutes later, I arrived at the Midnight Grind. Through the large glass window, I saw a young man in a black coat sitting at a corner table, looking at his phone. He was about 25 or 26, with thin-rimmed glasses, and looked quite intellectual. "Miss Miller." Seeing me, he stood up and greeted me. "You are the one who called?" "Yes. My name is Mark Suzuki. I am a psychiatrist." He extended his hand. "Please, have a seat." A psychiatrist. My heart skipped a beat. So my guess had been correct. "What would you like to drink?" Dr. Suzuki asked. "An Americano, please." After sitting down, I got straight to the point. "You said you would tell me the truth about Leo." "Doctor." Suzuki nodded, his face turning serious. "Miss Miller, do you know what happened to Leo 4 years ago?" "I only know that he suffered some kind of shock. But his family won't tell me what it was." "Then I will start from the beginning." Dr. Suzuki took a deep breath. 4 years ago, Leo was a patient at our hospital for severe depression and suicidal ideation. So it was a mental illness and suicidal thoughts. I stared at him in shock. Yes. And not just once. Dr. Suzuki's voice was heavy. The first time he came to us, he had already cut his wrists. Fortunately, he was found in time. The Leo, who seemed so calm and diligent to me, had attempted suicide. Why? He seemed completely normal. Yes, he did, Dr. Suzuki said with a wry smile. That is the most dangerous part. Leo has bipolar disorder. He can function perfectly normally, even better than normal, for long periods. But when an episode hits, the consequences can be very severe. And now? He has been off his medication for 6 months. Dr. Suzuki's words sent a chill through me. And he is refusing further treatment. Off his medication? Why? He believes he is fully recovered and thinks that continuing to take medication will affect his ability to work, Dr. Suzuki sighed. This kind of thinking is common among bipolar patients. During periods of remission, they tend to overestimate their recovery. I thought about Leo's strange behavior over the past few months, and my suspicions grew stronger. Dr. Suzuki, the reason you came to see me today is, I am worried he is about to have a relapse. And this time, it could be much more serious. Dr. Suzuki took out a folder. This is his medical file. I have brought it here at the risk of breaking hospital rules, because I hope you can help him. I took the folder and opened the first page. It detailed Leo's condition from 4 years ago. Severe depressive episode, suicidal ideation, hallucinations, persecutory delusions. Those words horrified me. Persecutory delusions. I pointed to the words. Yes. That is one of his most severe symptoms, Dr. Suzuki explained. He constantly feels that someone is watching him and trying to harm him. Sometimes, he even starts to suspect his closest loved ones. I remembered the strange look in Leo's eyes when he looked at me, and my questions began to find answers. Then why was he photographing confidential documents at the holdings firm? Dr. Suzuki was silent for a moment, then said, Miss Miller, let me ask you a question. What if he was taking those documents not to leak corporate secrets, but not to leak them? I was stunned. Then for what? To protect himself. Dr. Suzuki's voice was very quiet. In his mind, someone might use that information to attack him. He was photographing it to have evidence. My mind was in a whirl. If that were true, I had completely misunderstood his actions. But Mr. Evans from the finance department said there had been an actual leak of corporate secrets at the holdings firm. That could be a coincidence, or there might be another cause, Dr. Suzuki said. But I am certain, given his personality, that Leo would never voluntarily do anything to harm you. How can you be so sure? Because in his medical records, you are listed as the person he trusts most. Dr. Suzuki turned a page. Look. During his treatment, he repeatedly said that you were his only hope, that you gave him a second chance at life. I looked at the records and couldn't help but cry. It detailed Leo's words during his treatment. Director Miller is a good person. She gave me a job. I cannot let her down. If it were not for Director Miller, I really would not have survived. I have to work hard to repay her kindness. Reading these words, I thought of Leo over the past 4 years, and guilt washed over me. His diligent work, his caution. It all came from a place of gratitude toward me. And I, out of my own suspicion, had fired him. Dr. Suzuki, where is he now? I wiped my tears and asked anxiously. I do not know, Dr. Suzuki shook his head. But I am very worried. According to his file, whenever he suffers a major blow, he tends to hide away alone and often engages in self-harm. What should we do? We need to find him and convince him to start treatment again, Dr. Suzuki said. But before that, you need to know the whole truth. I do not know everything yet? Dr. Suzuki took out a few more photos. These are drawings Leo made during his treatment. I took the photos. The first was a sketch of the back of a woman working in an office. Though it was from behind, I immediately recognized myself. The second drawing was of the holdings firm's building, and the third was a corner of an office. All the drawings were related to my work environment. Why did he draw these? Because these are the brightest memories in his mind, Dr. Suzuki explained. When he was at his lowest, thinking about the job you gave him, about his life at the holdings firm, was what kept him going. I was completely shocked. Unbeknownst to me, Leo held such deep gratitude for me. And I, with my suspicion and mistrust, had shattered his hope. Dr. Suzuki, what should I do now? First, we need to find him. Dr. Suzuki put the photos away. And you must explain to him clearly that this termination was not because you do not trust him. But I do not know where he is now. We have some clues, Dr. Suzuki said. As far as I know, there are a few places he might go. Where? The first is a park he used to frequent. It has a lake and is very quiet. The second is a 24-hour bookstore near your holdings firm. He used to spend a lot of time there late at night. I immediately stood up. Let's go now. Miss Miller, please do not rush. Dr. Suzuki stopped me. There is one more thing I need to tell you. What is it? About those suspicious outings and strange contacts. Dr. Suzuki's face grew even more serious. I suspect he was being manipulated. Manipulated? Yes. Some criminal organizations intentionally seek out patients like Leo and use their illness to achieve their own goals. A chill ran down my spine. So you are saying someone deliberately approached Leo, used his illness, and made him photograph confidential documents? That is a very high possibility, Dr. Suzuki nodded. Bipolar patients, in certain states, have significantly reduced critical thinking skills and are easily manipulated. The man he was meeting at the cafe was likely that manipulator, Dr. Suzuki said. We need to find out who he is. I remembered the photo and immediately took out my smartphone. This is him. I showed the photo to Dr. Suzuki. He looked at it carefully and shook his head. I do not know him, but we can give this photo to the police. The police? Yes. This is no longer just a mental health issue. If someone was really using Leo to steal corporate secrets, that is a crime. I suddenly realized the gravity of the situation. If Leo was really being manipulated, he was not only at risk of a relapse but could also be charged with a crime. Dr. Suzuki, let's report this to the police right now. Understood. But let's check those few places first. If we can find Leo before they do, things will be easier. Dr. Suzuki and I left the cafe and headed to the first place he mentioned, Central Park. At 4 in the morning, Central Park was eerily quiet. Only the occasional chirp of a bird broke the silence. Dr. Suzuki and I walked slowly along the edge of the reservoir, our hearts growing heavier. He used to come here often? I asked quietly. Yes. During his treatment, I encouraged him to get more fresh air. Dr. Suzuki pointed to a small gazebo in the middle of a clearing. He liked to sit in that gazebo. He said it was very quiet and calming. We approached the gazebo, but there was no one inside. He might be somewhere else. I started to worry. Let's look a little longer, Dr. Suzuki calmed me. He might be in another part of the park. We walked around the reservoir but found no sign of Leo. Let's go to the bookstore then. Back in the car, I noticed several missed calls on my phone. They were all from my former mother-in-law. I quickly called back. Kate. Her voice was very weak. Leo still has not come back. I have reported it to the police. Helen, please do not worry. I am looking for him too. Kate, please. If you find him, please convince him, she sobbed. I am so afraid he will do something foolish. Helen, please rest. I will do everything I can to find him. After hanging up, my heart felt even heavier. 20 minutes later, we arrived at the 24-hour bookstore. It was a very quaint, independent shop with a cozy interior. Even at this late hour, a few people were reading or working. Dr. Suzuki and I split up and searched everywhere, but we couldn't find Leo. Just as we were about to leave, the girl at the cash register called out to us. Are you by any chance looking for a young man in his mid-20s, thin, very intellectual looking? Dr. Suzuki and I exchanged a look and quickly approached her. Yes, have you seen him? He was just here. He was here for about 2 hours and left about half an hour ago, the girl said, trying to remember. He didn't seem very well. He was looking at psychology books the whole time and was writing or drawing something on a piece of paper. Did he say where he was going? No. But he left this before he left. The girl took out a note. He said if anyone came looking for him, I should give them this. I took the note. In a messy scrawl, it read, I am sorry. I do not want to be a burden to anyone. If you are reading this, Director Miller, I am truly sorry. I am going to a place where I will not bother anyone. Reading this note, my heart almost stopped. He is going to kill himself. Dr. Suzuki's face also turned pale. Call the police, quickly. I took out my smartphone, but Dr. Suzuki stopped me. Miss Miller, think. Where would he go? Dr. Suzuki was desperately trying to stay calm. A place that means something to him. I desperately tried to remember every detail related to Leo. Suddenly, it hit me. The rooftop of the holdings firm's building. Why there? When he first joined the company, I gave him a tour of everything. At the time, he said the view from the rooftop was beautiful. You could see the whole city. My voice trembled. If he has really made up his mind, he might choose that place. Let's hurry then. We rushed to the holdings firm's building. On the way, I kept calling Leo, but his phone was turned off. Miss Miller, do not worry so much, Dr. Suzuki said, trying to calm me as he drove. We will find him. It is all my fault. I started to cry. If I had known the truth sooner, if I had not suspected him so much. There is no point in saying that now, the important thing is to find him. 20 minutes later, we arrived at the holdings firm's building. The security guard at the entrance remembered me and let us in without any trouble. We took the elevator to the top floor and then the stairs to the roof. Pushing open the door to the rooftop, I saw him. Leo. He was standing at the very edge, his back to us, motionless. Leo, I called out. He turned around, his eyes filled with complex emotions. Director Miller, what are you doing here? Leo, come down. Please, let's talk. I tried desperately to stay calm as I slowly approached him. Director Miller, I am so sorry. Tears streamed down his face. I betrayed you. No, you did not betray me. My voice trembled too. I misunderstood you. I am the one who is sorry. Director Miller, you know. My secret? Yes, Leo said with a bitter smile. You have seen the video of me photographing the documents, haven't you? Leo, I understand everything now. You did not leak any secrets. He was surprised. He clearly had not expected me to say that. Director Miller, you understand? Yes, I understand everything. Someone used your illness to make you do it. I continued to approach him. Leo, you are not a bad person. You are just sick. Hearing that, Leo completely broke down. Director Miller, I really did not mean to harm the holdings firm. He sat down on the ground, holding his head in his hands and sobbing. A man told me there were people in the holdings firm who wanted to harm me, and I had to gather evidence to protect myself. I believed him. I rushed over, sat down beside him, and hugged him. Leo, it is okay. Everything is going to be okay. Director Miller, I am so useless. He cried like a child in my arms. I cannot even control my own illness. No, you are very strong. I stroked his head. Just the fact that you have held on this long is amazing. Dr. Suzuki also came over and sat in front of him. Leo, do you remember me? I am Dr. Suzuki. Leo looked up and saw Dr. Suzuki with a complex expression. Doctor, what are you doing here? I was worried about you, Dr. Suzuki said gently. Leo, your illness is not your fault. And it is nothing to be ashamed of. Many people suffer from mental illness. The important thing is to face it correctly and get treatment. But I feel like a burden. No, you are not a burden. I held him tightly. Leo, for the past 4 years, you have always been one of the best employees at the holdings firm. Your effort, your dedication, everyone saw it. Really? A glimmer of hope appeared in his eyes. Really? I nodded firmly. And now, I am telling you officially, the termination order is rescinded. If you want, you can come back to the holdings firm anytime. Director Miller. Leo started crying again, but this time, they were tears of joy. But there is one condition. I looked into his eyes. You must cooperate with Dr. Suzuki, take your medication on time, and attend regular checkups. Yes, I will, he nodded. I do not want to worry everyone anymore. At that moment, the rooftop door opened, and several police officers came in. Director Miller. An older officer recognized me. We received a report of an attempted suicide. It is okay. Everything is resolved now, I stood up. Thank you. The officers checked the scene, confirmed there was no danger, and left. Leo, let's go home. I helped Leo stand up. Director Miller, the man who used me, he seemed a little worried. He will not come after me again, will he? No, he will not, I said firmly. I will see this through to the end. Descending from the rooftop, the 3 of us went into a 24-hour diner at the base of the holdings firm's building. Leo had calmed down a bit, but still looked exhausted. Leo, can you tell us in detail how that man approached you? I bought him a hot coffee. It was about 3 months ago, Leo said, trying to remember. I was having lunch at a cafe near the office, and a man struck up a conversation with me. He said he also worked in the area, and we started talking. What did he say to you? Dr. Suzuki asked. At first, it was just normal conversation. He asked where I worked, what I did. Leo took a sip of coffee. Then he started hinting that modern society is complex, that workplace relationships are dangerous, and I needed to be careful. Dr. Suzuki and I exchanged a look. This was a classic tactic for manipulating people with mental illness. And then he told me a story about a friend of his who was framed by a colleague, lost his job, and even ended up in court. Leo's face contorted in pain. I had just stopped taking my medication around that time. I was already very paranoid, and his words made me even more anxious. And so you started to suspect that there was someone at the holdings firm who wanted to harm you? Yes, Leo nodded. He told me I needed to learn how to protect myself and gather evidence just in case. He said that all companies these days are corrupt, and even if supervisors are nice to your face, they might be plotting against you behind your back. Hearing this, I was again overcome with guilt. If I had paid more attention to Leo, I might have noticed his strange state sooner. What exactly did he make you do? He told me to photograph certain documents, especially those related to personnel changes and finances, Leo said. He said that if someone were to alter these documents, I would have proof of my innocence. Did you give him the documents you photographed? I gave him a few. Leo hung his head. Director Miller, I truly did not know what he was going to do with those documents. I thought I was protecting myself. Leo, do not blame yourself. I took his hand. It is not your fault. What should we do now? Leo asked. If he really did something bad with those documents, I will handle it. I stood up. First, we need to go to the police and find this man. But I have only met him a few times. I do not even know his real name. It is okay. I have a photo of him. I took out my smartphone. And you can describe his appearance. At that moment, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Miss Miller, has your little meeting concluded? A man's voice, sounding rather sinister. I immediately realized this might be the manipulator. Who is this? You should know by now, the person on the other end laughed. A good friend of Leo Saito's. Hearing his voice, Leo instantly turned pale. It is him, he said quietly. I motioned for them to be silent and turned on my voice recorder. What do you want? It is simple. I want Leo Saito to continue working for me. Otherwise, I will hand over the documents he photographed to your competitors. You think you can blackmail us with that? Miss Miller, do not be so naive. The person's voice became even more sinister. You know the value of those documents. If they fall into your competitors' hands, your holdings firm will suffer losses of at least hundreds of millions of dollars. I felt a surge of anger, but desperately tried to stay calm. Who are you? You do not need to know that. You only need to know one thing. If the holdings firm does not want to suffer losses, Leo must continue to cooperate with me. And if I refuse? Then you can expect a show. By tomorrow morning, all the documents will be on your competitors' desks. With that, the person hung up. Director Miller, what should we do? Leo's voice was trembling. It is all my fault. I have ruined the holdings firm. No, it is not your fault, I said firmly. We will not give in to this man's threats. But if those documents are really leaked, there is a way. I took out my smartphone. I am reporting this to the police right now. 10 minutes later, 2 police officers arrived at the diner. I explained the situation in detail and provided the call recording and photo. From what you have told us, this is a case of industrial espionage, the older officer said. We will begin our investigation immediately. Will Leo face any legal consequences? I asked anxiously. If it can be proven that he was manipulated and he cooperates with the investigation, it usually does not become a serious issue, the officer replied. However, we will need him to explain all his contacts with this man in detail. For the next hour, Leo recounted every meeting with the mysterious man to the police officers. The time, place, content of the conversation, and a description of his appearance. Based on your testimony, we will do our best to identify this man as quickly as possible, the officer said. But until then, to avoid any retaliation from the suspect, it would be best for Leo not to go out alone. I will look after him, I said. After the police left, it was already 7 in the morning. Director Miller, I want to go home and see my mother, Leo said. She must be very worried. Yes, I will take you. On the way to Leo's house, Dr. Suzuki explained his treatment plan in detail. Leo, your illness is not that severe. As long as you take your medication regularly and attend checkups, it can be completely controlled. I will cooperate with the treatment, Leo nodded. I do not want to worry my family or Director Miller anymore. And there is one more important condition. I stopped the car at a red light and turned back to him. From now on, if anyone approaches you and says strange things, you must tell me or Dr. Suzuki. Yes, I will remember. When we arrived at Leo's house, his mother was already waiting at the door. Seeing her son safe, she broke down in tears. Leo, you foolish boy. I was going out of my mind with worry. She hugged him tightly. Mom, I am sorry for worrying you. Kate. His mother turned and squeezed my hand tightly. Thank you. Truly, thank you. It is my duty. I was moved by her sincerity. Leo is a good kid. I will not give up on him. At Leo's house, we explained everything to his mother and to Kevin, who had just arrived. After hearing the whole story, his mother cried even more. It is all my fault. I did not watch over Leo properly, she blamed herself. Mom, it is not your fault, Leo comforted her. Mental illness is no one's fault. Kate, Leo's job. Kevin asked, a bit anxiously. I have already said it. He is welcome back anytime, I replied firmly. But first, he needs to rest and focus on his treatment. Thank you. Truly, thank you. Kevin also teared up. I stayed at Leo's house until noon to make sure his condition was stable before returning to the office. Back at the holdings firm, I immediately called a meeting of the key management team. Everyone, I have an important announcement to make. I looked around at the dozen or so executives gathered in the conference room. I would like to officially clear the record regarding our employee, Leo Saito. Everyone was stunned. They clearly had not expected those words from me. Director Miller, what do you mean? Sharon from HR asked cautiously. Leo has been completely exonerated of any wrongdoing, I said honestly. He did not leak any of the holdings firm's secrets. On the contrary, he is an innocent victim in a broader corporate espionage scheme. Then, while of course omitting the details of Leo's mental health, I explained the corporate security situation. So that is what happened. Mr. Evans, the CFO, said with understanding. That solves the mystery of the recent strange information leaks. The police are currently investigating, and I believe the real culprits will be caught soon, I said. And I would like to announce that Leo will be reinstated at the holdings firm. If that is your decision, Director Miller, we all support you, said Mr. Takahashi from IT. Leo was a really good colleague. The other executives also expressed their understanding and support. After the meeting, I sent a company-wide email officially clearing Leo's name and reinstating him. Then, I went down to the administration department to speak with his team. Everyone, I want to clarify the situation regarding Leo Saito, I announced. There was a terrible misunderstanding, and I want to publicly state that Leo's record is completely clean. He was actually the victim of external manipulation. As I explained the overview of the situation, the office fell silent. Then, someone started clapping, and soon the entire office erupted in applause. Director Miller, your transparency shows that you are a responsible leader, the head of administration said. When is Leo coming back? Everyone misses him, a female employee asked. He will be back as soon as he is well, I replied. In the afternoon, I received a call from the police. Miss Miller, we have identified the suspect, the investigator said. His name is Jack Blackwood. He is an industrial spy for a competitor. We have him in custody now. That is truly wonderful news. I breathed a sigh of relief. And from his possession, we have recovered a large number of confidential documents from various companies. This is an entire industrial espionage network, and Leo was just one of their victims. This news further confirmed for me that Leo was completely innocent. In the evening, I went to the hospital to visit Leo. Dr. Suzuki said his condition had stabilized significantly, and he had started taking his medication again. Director Miller, thank you for believing in me. Seeing me, Leo looked at me with gratitude. Leo, I am the one who should be thanking you. I sat by his bed. For the past 4 years, you have always been one of the best employees at the holdings firm. I am the one who wronged you. Director Miller, let's let the past be the past, Leo said. Right now, what I want most is to get well and return to the holdings firm. Yes, we will be waiting. Director Miller, I have a request, Leo said, a bit shyly. What is it? I want to speak publicly about my illness, he said seriously. I want more people to know that mental illness is not scary, that with the right treatment, you can live and work completely normally. I was moved by his courage. Are you sure? That might be a lot of pressure. I am sure, Leo nodded firmly. If my experience can help others suffering from mental illness, it would be very meaningful. A week later, Jack Blackwood and his accomplices were arrested. They admitted to using Leo to steal corporate secrets and surrendered all the confidential documents. The case caused a major stir in the business world, making people aware of the seriousness of industrial espionage. Under Dr. Suzuki's care, Leo's condition improved significantly. A month later, he officially returned to work. To celebrate his return, our department held a small party. "Leo, welcome back," his colleagues shouted in unison. Leo was so moved he started to cry. "Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Director Miller," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "I will work even harder to live up to your trust." At the party, Leo bravely spoke about his illness, urging everyone to face mental health issues correctly. "Mental illness is like a cold. It can be cured," he said. "The important thing is proper understanding and timely treatment." His speech was met with applause and respect. A few months later, our holdings firm established a special fund to support employee mental health. This was to ensure that people facing similar issues could receive timely treatment and care. Leo became the face of the fund, using his own example to inspire others to bravely fight mental illness. 1 year later. Today, I am sitting in my office, watching Leo give a lecture on mental health to new employees in the training center downstairs. He has fully recovered and not only excels at his job but has also become the holdings firm's mental health ambassador. His story has touched many people and has prompted more employees to pay attention to their own mental health. Director Miller, Leo's lecture was a huge success. Sharon came in, holding a stack of feedback forms. "Yes. I put down my documents." The employees said that after hearing Leo's story, they have a better understanding of mental illness, Sharon said happily. "And several of them have voluntarily sought mental health counseling." "That is very good," I nodded. "Mental health is just as important as physical health." "Oh, and Leo asked me to give you this. He would like to invite you to his wedding next month."